Every person has a pattern in the way they think, understand, and behave. If we learn to recognize this pattern, then understanding anyone's intentions, emotions, and decisions and predicting them in advance can become much easier. This pattern is influenced by their past experiences, emotional needs, and psychological states. Meaning the person someone is today is the result of the experiences they had in their earlier life. If we observe someone's behavior carefully and understand why they are doing what they are doing, then we can also predict their future steps. Let's say you have a friend who always gets angry quickly over every small thing. You notice that whenever someone points out a mistake of his, he gets defensive and starts arguing. If you try to understand his personality, then it is possible that this behavior of his is connected to his past life. Maybe as a child he was scolded too much, or he was made to feel like he was never right. So now, whenever someone points out his mistake, his brain reacts with anger immediately to protect him. If you understand this pattern, then you can already know in advance what his reaction will be the next time someone points out his mistake. In the same way, if you know someone who is always ready to help everyone even when he himself is in trouble, then this could mean that he sees his own value in others' happiness. It is possible that he went through something in his life where he only received love and a sense of belonging when he put others' needs above his own. So now it has become his habit to help others even by forgetting himself. If you recognize this pattern, then you can understand why he keeps doing this again and again, and you can also know that he will continue to behave this way going forward. Another way to understand people's behavior is to look at the gap between their words and their actions. Many times people say one thing, but their real intention is something else. Let's say a coworker of yours always says that he doesn't care about other people's opinions, but whenever someone criticizes him, he stays disturbed for weeks. This means that his words and his real thoughts don't match. What he is saying means he wants to appear as someone who doesn't care. But in reality, other people's opinions affect him deeply. If you understand this pattern, then you can already know in advance that if someone criticizes him again, he will get disturbed again. When analyzing people's behavior, we also have to look at how they react in different situations. For example, someone who seems very funny and open with his friends but becomes extremely quiet and serious in a work environment. This could mean that he is very good at adapting himself to his surroundings. But if someone behaves the same way everywhere, like being very serious all the time or joking around all the time, then it means that his behavior is connected to his inner personality and not just his surroundings. Many times people adopt a fake personality to impress others. But if you observe their behavior carefully, then you can recognize their real personality. Let's say someone always tries to show that he is very confident. But when someone asks him a difficult question, he gets uncomfortable and tries to change the subject. This means that his confidence could be just for show. If you learn to recognize these kinds of patterns, then you can know who is actually how they appear and who is just pretending. Our behavioral patterns are also connected to our psychological needs. Some people feel the need to always be proven right, so they never ever admit their mistakes. Some people need attention all the time, so they repeatedly do things that make people notice them. Some people like control, so they try to have their say over everything. If you understand what a person's most important need is, then you can also predict how they will behave. Now think about it, if you know someone who always speaks first and puts their point out in a group, then this shows their need to get the most attention. Now, if someone else starts talking more than them, then the chances are that they will feel uncomfortable and will try in any way to pull everyone's attention back to themselves. If you recognize this pattern, then it will not be hard for you to understand how they will react in the future. Another way to understand behavioral patterns is to analyze people's decisions. Whenever someone makes a big decision, it doesn't just depend on the immediate situation, but their past experiences, their fears, and their desires also play a big role in it. Let's say someone always turns down every new opportunity that comes his way because he feels there is a risk of failure in it. It is possible that this fear of his is connected to his past life where he took a big risk and faced failure. So now he wants to avoid every risk. If you enjoy our free summaries, you can subscribe to our channel or support us through Venmo or PayPal. Now let's get back to the summary. If you recognize this kind of pattern, then you can predict in advance that this person will also avoid taking risks in the future. In the same way, if someone always grabs every opportunity immediately and makes decisions without thinking it through, then this can also be a pattern. It is possible that they learned in their life that grabbing an opportunity right away is the key to success. So they are always ready to take on new opportunities without overthinking. Understanding people's behavioral patterns not only helps us know more about them, but we can also improve our relationships. If you understand the reasons behind the behavior of a friend, partner, or coworker, then you can be more patient with them and build a better understanding with them. In the end, it is important to understand that no person stays the same forever. People change with time, but even their change happens in a pattern. If you also recognize the pattern of this change, then you can also understand what direction someone is moving in their life and what their next step could be. So if you want to understand people in a better way, then don't just go by their words, but observe their behavior carefully. Understand their past experiences, their desires, their fears, and their needs. When you do this, you will not only learn to read people, but also become skilled at predicting their future decisions. Most of us believe that to understand someone, we should only pay attention to their words. But the truth is that there is more power in a person's body language and facial expressions than in their words. Many times people say one thing, but their real meaning shows through their expressions. If we learn to read someone's body language and facial expressions correctly, then we can understand their real emotions, even if they are saying something else. Let's say you ask your friend if he is okay and he answers, "Yes, I'm fine." But if his voice is a little low, his eyes are slightly downcast, and his shoulders are a little drooped, then would that mean he is actually fine? Probably not. His words are saying one thing, but his body is telling something else. This is why, instead of just trusting words, we should also pay close attention to people's expressions and body language. Facial expressions are the most powerful signals because a person's real emotions show up on their face quickly. When someone is happy, their eyes shine, there is a slight smile on their lips, and their face looks open and relaxed. But when someone is sad, there is heaviness in their eyes, their eyebrows are slightly lowered, and their lips look tight. Fear, anger, surprise, or worry, every emotion has a different expression, and if we start understanding this, we can get a sense of anyone's mental state. Now, let's say a coworker at your office always says he has no problem with anyone, but whenever a particular person enters the room, his body language changes. His face becomes a little tight. His eyes avoid making contact, and his hands unknowingly curl into fists. It won't take you long to understand that he actually does have some problem with that person, even if he is denying it in words. Other signals of body language include a person's postures and gestures. For example, when someone is interested in something, their body leans forward, their eyes stay focused on the person or subject, and their eyebrows are slightly raised. But if someone is bored, their back leans away, their eyes start wandering around, and their hands might be resting somewhere, showing that they are just passing time. Now think about it. If you are talking to someone and they are constantly moving their feet, looking at their watch, or checking their phone repeatedly, then what could that mean? The direct signal could be that this person is restless or not very interested in the conversation. These kinds of small signals can tell us what the person in front of us is actually feeling. Many times people try to hide their emotions, but their body always gives out some kind of signal. For example, when someone is lying, they usually avoid making eye contact, touch their nose or face repeatedly, or there is a slight change in their voice. If you start catching these signals, then you can recognize when someone is telling the truth and when they are not. However, it is also important to understand that drawing a conclusion just from one single signal would not be right. If someone's eyes are downcast, it doesn't mean they are necessarily sad. They could just be tired. If someone has folded their arms, it doesn't mean they are upset with you. They could just be cold. So we should always keep the context in mind as well. If a person is continuously in a defensive posture during a conversation, then we need to see whether this is part of their nature or they are doing this in a particular situation. Apart from this, when reading body language, we should look at clusters of different signals together. Drawing a conclusion just from one signal alone would not be right. For example, if someone is standing with their arms folded, it doesn't necessarily mean they are cold or angry. But if along with that, their eyebrows are also tense, their lips are slightly tight, and their body is leaning slightly back, then these signals together can show that the person is actually upset about something or feeling defensive. Now let's take another example. Let's say someone is talking to you and smiling from time to time, but that happiness is not showing in their eyes. Their smile is limited only to their lips. Their eyes look a little tired, and they are touching their neck repeatedly. This could mean that they are smiling just for show, but feeling troubled or uncomfortable on the inside. This art of reading people is not just useful in personal relationships, but also very beneficial in professional life. Let's say you are in a meeting, and your boss says that he liked your project report. But instead of happiness on his face, there is a slight look of annoyance, and his hands are lying flat on the table without any energy. This could mean that he is just going through the formalities, but is not actually satisfied with the report. If you pick up on this signal, then you can still improve the report in time and make a better impression in the future. Another big advantage of reading body language and facial expressions is that it helps us test someone's honesty. Let's say someone is telling you that they didn't make any mistake. But while they are speaking, there is hesitation in their voice, they are repeatedly moving their eyes around, and their fingers are fidgeting with each other. These signals can tell you that they are not being completely truthful. Reading body language is an art, and it comes only through gradual practice. If you start paying attention to people's expressions and facial cues in everyday life, then you will slowly start to understand what different signals mean. In the end, it is important to understand that every person is different, and the best way to read someone's body language is to first notice their normal habits. If someone is usually very energetic, but on a particular day they seem to be sitting quietly, then this could be a signal that something is wrong. In the same way, if someone who is always calm suddenly starts showing a lot of gestures, then this could also be unusual. When you start paying attention to these small things, you will start getting a sense of what people are really feeling, even if they are saying something else. This will not only improve your ability to understand, but you will also be able to communicate with others in a much better and more effective way. Everything that a person does has some reason behind it. Someone works hard because they want success. Someone saves money because they worry about the future. Someone helps others because it makes them happy, and someone lies because they want to avoid some kind of trouble. If we understand what makes a person happy and what scares them, then we can predict how they will behave going forward. In reality, every person has two big motivation drivers: seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, meaning people do what either makes them feel good or protects them from some kind of suffering. If you observe someone's behavior carefully, then you will start to understand what things they are drawn toward and what things they run away from. Understanding this is very important because when you understand someone's motivation, then you can also predict what decisions they will make going forward. Let's say there are two coworkers at your office. One always works harder, takes on extra work, and tries to learn from every mistake. The other always wants to do the minimum amount of work, avoids taking risks, and runs away from any new responsibility. Why is there such a big difference in the behavior of these two? The first person gets happiness from success. Maybe he wants a promotion or wants to build his identity through his work. He feels that working harder will give him the happiness he is looking for. On the other hand, the second person is driven by the fear of failure. He doesn't want to make any mistake, wants to avoid criticism, and therefore doesn't take any step that could cause him trouble later. If you understand this motivation, then you can also predict how they will behave when they are given a new project. The first person will take it on with enthusiasm, while the second might make an excuse or try to take on as little responsibility as possible. Now think about this. You suggest to a friend that he should start going to the gym. If he is motivated by pleasure, then he might think that going to the gym will improve his fitness, make him feel good, and enhance his personality. If he is motivated by avoiding pain, then he will think that going to the gym can keep him away from illness, he won't have weight problems, and he will stay away from health-related troubles in the future. Both people can go to the gym, but their reasons will be different. One will see pleasure in it, and the other will see a way to avoid danger. In the same way, if someone always gets angry quickly, then it is important to understand that their anger is also connected to some motivation. It is possible that as a child, they were repeatedly forced to prove themselves right, and now they try to prove themselves right in every argument so they don't have to go through that struggle again. Or it is possible that they care a lot about their self-respect, and whenever they feel that someone is undermining their dignity, they react with anger. If you understand the reason behind their anger, then you can also understand in what circumstances they will get angry and how they can be calmed down. People's fears also affect their behavior. Some people are very careful about their image in society because they have a fear of rejection. Such people always make sure they wear the right clothes, say the right words, and avoid any social mistakes. On the other hand, some people are very careful about money because they have a fear of poverty. Such people always focus on savings, avoid spending too much, and never spend money on unnecessary things. If you understand what a person's fears are, then you can also predict their decisions. Let's say a friend of yours is always very careful in relationships. He doesn't trust anyone quickly, doesn't open up much, and thinks too much before entering any new relationship. It is possible that he has been badly hurt in a past relationship, and now he doesn't want to go through that same pain again. So before starting any relationship, he weighs everything so that he doesn't have to go through suffering again. If you understand that his behavior is to avoid pain, then you can also understand what it will take to make him feel trusted. In the same way, some people pay a lot of attention to appearances. They always buy expensive things, post good pictures of themselves on social media, and exaggerate their success. If you look at their motivation, then here too, there is the game of pleasure and pain. It is possible that they get happiness from praise and recognition, so they build their lifestyle in a way that people admire them. Or it is possible that they fear that if they appear, ordinary people will look down on them. To avoid this fear, they always try to show their status as high. Now, think about it. If you are dealing with a customer, wouldn't it be important to know what influences them? If a customer buys something that will make them happy, then you need to tell them how much your product will improve their life. But if a customer just wants to avoid loss, then you need to make them understand what they could lose if they don't buy this product. Just look at kids. When a child studies, they are either thinking that good grades will come and they will be praised, or they are thinking that if they fail, they will be punished. Meaning their motivation is either pleasure or avoidance of pain. If parents understand which motivation their child is more driven by, then they can inspire them to study in the right way. Our decisions are also driven by the same motivation. A person can take a new job because they will earn more money there, pleasure, or because they are fed up with their old job, avoidance of pain. A person can get married because they need a partner, pleasure, or because they are afraid of loneliness, avoidance of pain. If you understand what is driving someone's life, the desire for pleasure or the avoidance of pain, then you can predict their next steps. You can see what their behavior will be in which situation, what decisions they will make, and what things will influence them the most. When you start understanding people at this level, your own ability to communicate and build relationships becomes very strong. Every person's needs are different, but if you look carefully, these needs move in a certain order. Some people's biggest concern is earning money and fulfilling their basic needs, while some people take more interest in love and relationships. And some people put their career, identity, and self-respect above everything else. Understanding what level a person is, that helps us know what things will motivate them the most and what their behavior will be like. Psychologist Abraham Maslow created a hierarchy of needs to explain this better, which is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In this, human needs are divided into 5 levels. The needs at the bottom are the most basic, and as a person fulfills these needs, they move toward the next level. If you can identify where a person stands on this ladder, then you can also understand what will influence them the most and what decisions they will make in the future. The first level is that of physical needs. This includes things like food, water, sleep, and basic comfort. If a person's basic needs are not being met, then their entire attention will be on these things. For example, if someone is unemployed and has no money, then their biggest concern will be how to meet their day-to-day needs. At this time, they won't be worried about things like relationships or self-respect because their mind will first make sure that they can survive. Now think about it. If a person is struggling for food and you tell them that they should focus on self-development, then will they take it seriously? Probably not. Because their priority right now is only to satisfy their hunger. This is why when we talk to someone, we should first look at what level their needs are at. If a person is busy meeting their basic needs, then it is important to understand their current situation before talking to them about any big inspiration. The second level is that of safety needs. This includes things like job stability, home, health, and security for the future. If a person's physical needs have been met, then now they want stability in their life. For example, if someone is working a job but lives with a constant fear of losing it, then their concern goes beyond money and becomes about security. They will make decisions that give them more stability and safety, even if they don't take on bigger opportunities. Now, if you look at someone who feels very secure, then you will notice that they will be more comfortable taking risks. But if someone is living in fear all the time, like they feel their job could go at any moment or their home is not secure, then their behavior will be different. They will be cautious in their decisions, avoid change, and will not be interested in anything that threatens their stability. The third level is that of social needs. When a person has fulfilled their basic and safety needs, they now look for relationships, friendships, and a connection with society. They start feeling that just money and security are not enough. They also need someone's company. It is at this level that people start giving more importance to relationships and try to find their place in society. Think about it. If a person is feeling lonely, and you give them advice about moving ahead in their career, they won't be very enthusiastic about it. Their priority right now is not career, but the feeling of having someone's company. This is why, when a person is at this level, their priorities start revolving around their friends, family, and relationships. Now, if you see someone who always loves spending time with people, then it becomes easy to understand that they are at this level. They don't like being alone, and their needs are connected to things that make them feel a sense of belonging. If they can't fulfill the needs of this level, they will start feeling sad or uncomfortable. The fourth level is that of esteem needs. When a person is satisfied with relationships and social connection, they now start feeling the need for recognition and respect. They now want people to appreciate them, acknowledge their success, and see them as an important person. This is why some people take interest in showing their achievements on social media, because it gives them respect and recognition. It is at this level that people work harder to advance in their career, learn new skills, and try to prove their abilities. If a person is at this level, then the best way to motivate them would be to make them feel that they are valuable and that their achievements are appreciated. If you see someone who always wants praise for their work, then this could mean that they are at the level of esteem needs. They want to hear that they did a good job because that is their motivation. The last and highest level is that of self-actualization. When a person has achieved respect and recognition in their life, they now start trying to improve themselves even further. They don't just chase money, relationships, or recognition, but try to live their life for some larger purpose. Such people want to make full use of their abilities and want to contribute something new to society. They start taking interest in things like art, science, innovation, community service, and self-development. Now think about it. If a person is at this level and you talk to them only about making money, it won't motivate them much because their priorities have now changed. They have started thinking not just about their own well-being, but about society and the world. If you understand where a person stands on Maslow's ladder of needs, then you can predict what things will influence them the most. If someone's needs are basic, then they need security and stability. If they are looking for relationships, then they need a sense of belonging. If they want recognition, then they need appreciation. And if they are at the level of self-actualization, then they need something that can connect their life to a deeper purpose. When you start using this model in your everyday life, it becomes easier for you to understand people. You can know who will be motivated by what, who will make what kind of decisions, and how someone can be inspired. This not only strengthens your relationships, but you also build a much deeper understanding with people. Every person has an ego within them that helps them feel good about themselves and maintain their self-respect. Whenever something hurts our self-respect or makes us feel insecure, our mind starts using certain methods to protect us from that pain. These methods are called defense mechanisms. They try to keep us mentally and emotionally safe. But many times we ourselves don't even realize that we are using them. If we can recognize how a person is protecting their ego, then we can understand their real emotions and fears. Think about it. If a person repeatedly ignores their own mistakes and always blames others, then what does that mean? It is possible that they are avoiding accepting their mistakes because it could hurt their self-respect. They can't even imagine that they could make a mistake. So their mind shows them an easy path, blaming others. This is a defense mechanism called projection, where a person starts seeing their own weaknesses in others. Now, let's say someone is a very angry person, but tries to show themselves as calm and composed. Whenever someone tells them that they are very hot-tempered, they immediately respond, "I'm not hot-tempered, you are the one who is irritable." This is also an example of projection, because instead of accepting their own negative emotion, they are placing it onto someone else. If you understand this pattern, then you can recognize that their real fear is that they are afraid of seeing themselves as an angry person. Another common defense mechanism is denial. In this, a person refuses to accept a truth even if it is completely clear. Let's say someone spends way too much money and has fallen deep into debt. But whenever someone says something to them about it, they respond, "I don't have any problem. Everything is under control." This is denial. Instead of seeing the truth, they are ignoring it, because accepting the truth could be difficult for their ego. Many times people take the help of rationalization, making excuses. This means they make excuses for their mistakes so that they don't feel bad. Let's say someone fails an exam and says, "I don't care about it, that exam was useless anyway." In reality, they do care. But if they accept it, they will feel disappointed. So they start convincing themselves that the exam had no importance at all. This way they try to protect their ego. Another interesting defense mechanism is repression, suppressing. In this, a person suppresses their painful experiences or emotions into their subconscious mind so they don't have to deal with them. Let's say a child was scolded a lot as a kid, but when they grow up, they don't remember these things from their childhood at all. This happens because their mind buries these bitter memories so deeply that they don't surface. But these suppressed emotions can still affect their behavior. It is possible that they are very afraid of criticism or are always trying to prove themselves. If we can understand what things a person is suppressing in their mind, then we can also know what real fears or pain they are struggling with. Regression, acting like a child, is also a common defense mechanism. In this, a person starts behaving in old childlike ways to feel safe in a stressful situation. Sometimes when people are very troubled, they suddenly start crying or adopt some method that they used as a child. For example, if a person is under a lot of pressure at the office and starts getting angry over every little thing or becomes irritable, then it is possible that they are using regression. Their mind is taking them back to that childhood state when they would get attention and support through their anger. Many times people take the help of displacement, releasing emotions elsewhere. In this, a person doesn't release their real emotions on the person they are upset with, but takes them out on someone else. Let's say someone gets scolded by their boss at work and comes home, but they start taking out their anger on their family or friends. Their real anger is at their boss. But because they can't dare to take out their anger on the boss, their mind gives them an easier option, taking it out on someone weaker or safer. Some people use sublimation, transforming emotions into a creative form, which is a positive defense mechanism. In this, a person transforms their negative emotions into some creative or productive activity. For example, someone could be a very angry person, but if they channel that anger into sports, exercise, or art, then they can express it in a good way. Many artists, writers, and athletes use this mechanism by turning their emotions into creative work. So friends, that was our book summary for today. Let us know in the comments how you liked it, and thank you for listening all the way to the end.